religions and concludes that none of them are right. And so he has an awakening under the Bodha tree, which I'm convinced there's some connection between him being the Buddha and the Bodha tree, although it's not exactly the same. But he has an awakening under there, and he says they're all wrong. Instead, the wise are preparing for death. So this whole idea that Socrates is giving us, that philosophy is a preparation for death, is kind of this ascetic point of view. And so maybe I should emphasize, when I asked the question last class, which is actually this class's quiz question, if Jesus comes to your door, and you know it's him, and you know it's God, hypothetically, right? And Jesus says, sell everything you have, give the money to the poor, and come follow me. Do you do it? Do you go with him? What is he saying is pious, right? For him, the pious is not having property, not having an attachment to the present physical world, but instead being connected to the abstract ideal that isn't physical, doesn't need substance. So somehow we have to remove our attachment from this physical world in order to really be one with the ideal. Yeah.
So if you know it's actually Jesus, you know that it's actually God, therefore, in this scenario, the afterlife exists.
Not necessarily at all. I mean, Christianity has lots of different theologies associated with different sects and so on. Some people believe that if you're believing in Jesus, what that necessarily means is that he saved us from death, because if we believe in Jesus, that means we'll have an everlasting life, right? There's different kinds of those. Does it mean I'll continue living forever, etc.? Yes.
I mean, in this scenario, everything that I currently believe would be like proven false. So I'd be like, all right, but if you kind of prove me wrong, I'll drop everything, figure it out. Kind of how I feel.
Well, the neat thing about the orchestrated objective reduction theory is that your soul is interconnected with all of time and space. So when I go back to that memory of myself having my 4th birthday party, or 13th birthday party, or the morning I kicked the doctor, when I came out of the womb, if that's actually, accurate, my mom's saying that, or whatever, that exists throughout all time and space. And my entanglement with it is there all the time, right? So I'm currently, Brian Greene explains this, I'm kind of like a CD player or a DVD player watching the video of Gone with the Wind. And if you look at the DVD, that never changes, but the DVD player makes it look like there's a movie playing, right? But my consciousness is my DVD player, and the universe is actually fixed in all time and space. And so when I reach the end point of what I think of as my physical life, all of that is actually still there eternally, as long as the universe exists. And the question that even asked Thomas Aquinas at one point, he says, do you believe we'll be able to still think and so on as we do while we're alive once we're dead? And he says, I'm not sure, but I hope so. I think so, right? So that's kind of cool, right? I think so too. I think, if I have this soul that exists through time and space, even if I meet the end of it, right, it's all still there, right? and it seems to be integrated with the rest of the universe. So in a very strange way, I think of this as kind of my modern Roman Catholic attachment to science. I know, I'm really reaching for straws, out there, but that's cool. I like this, it makes me feel, did Jesus mean we're actually going to live forever after we believe in him? There's an interesting piece in the Gospel of Thomas, which is not one of the four you would normally read if you just read, the official Bible. But if you look up the book of Thomas, which is a Gnostic gospel, and that's supposed to be Thomas Didymus, the twin, right? And none of those were written by those actual individuals. It's the tradition associated with that individual, supposedly. But in that particular book of sayings, Jesus at one point says, you keep asking, when is heaven coming and where is it? You don't realize that heaven is all around you if only you had the eyes to see it. Right? So I think an interpretation that fits not only with Jesus but also with Buddha and kind of sort of with Confucius is that if you accept the ascetic point of view, you are saved. Because you no longer feel the tension of the story that you believe that makes you have to compete for things. Instead, now the story gives you a complete relaxation of all of that. In a sense, you're fine with the world. Everything is good. Very difficult. It's a very difficult thing to accept that, gosh, I don't have to worry about pain and suffering and so on. Just give up that attachment to things. And I'm saved now. So in that sense, once you're a believer, you're saved now. You don't have to wait for heaven to come. Being saved is that salvation. Does that work? How did we get into that? So is philosophy a preparation for death? So the immortality of the soul, it can't be destroyed. It wasn't constructed in the first place. Once you get into Christianity, the argument that we see with St. Augustine, will be looking at this, that the soul is created. So it's not a kind of a Buddhist reincarnation motif, but instead you have the beginning of the soul, and then it doesn't end, but it has a beginning. So that's different than this. Next class we'll begin looking at the Republic, which is next to the Bible considered to be the book that has had the most impact on Western civilization. So, any questions for me? Are you guys having fun? You guys are not laughing as much as I really work hard up here trying to keep everybody laughing, but it's not working. I don't know. Did I tell you, but do you know why you should be concerned about a dentist? Well, the dentist has fillings too. Filling? Filling? Okay. Not good. I told you why Mufasa died. He didn't move Mufasa. Yeah, he said he didn't.
So the question is,
would you go with Jesus?
Or is it because it's pious to him?
That's what I think would be the comparison between Euthyphro and Jesus. Is asking that, yeah. The quiz question for today is: if Jesus comes to your door and knocks and you answer it, you know it's him, would you go with him? He doesn't. This is actually in the gospel. He says, "Sell everything." He says it to the rich man, right? Sell everything you have, give the money to the poor, and come follow me. And the rich man goes, "No deal. I'm not doing that. I worked hard for this," etc. And so, that's the question. Hello.
For the assignment and the group, what are we looking for?
And the quiz question?
No, the research.
And the research?
Yeah.
So we're reading along, following the text. So the next text to read is the Republic, which you can find on. I didn't assign a textbook because it's on the web. So if you just go to the Internet archive, there's lots of versions of it. But if we go to this particular website, I didn't click right, and you go look at the works of Plato, and I have the links for you, so you can find them through my page, right? You can go down to the Republic, and this is a full book. I mean, it's sometimes when you buy a copy, you're looking at a thick book, right? Especially if there's commentary and so on. So just look at it as you go. You might want to look at what ChatGPT says about it, and so on. You can do that, but get an idea of what the book is all about, because it's a really important one.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the question.
What were the quiz questions for the day?
There was one quiz question for today. The trouble is, a lot of what I'm talking about kind of merges into other ones.
Okay.
Like the next one, which really we should talk about next class, is what is a soul? Do you have one? And what is it? You can answer that already if you like. But the other question, which I gave already last class, but is for today, is if Jesus comes to your door.
Okay.
Do you go with him, or most Americans say no, especially if you're female and you have a baby. You're like, do I at least get to keep the baby changing gear, and I need the food, and are we going to have shelter? I'm not sitting out overnight, with the baby. It's a lot of interesting, good reasons why most Americans will say, I worked for this. No thanks. Not going. That economic model doesn't work, Jesus. Has anyone ever sat you down and talked to you about this? It doesn't work. Capitalism, that's the way to go.
Well, thank you.
Hope you're enjoying this. I know it's kind of...
I know, it's interesting. It's really funky and cool.
So I joined late.
Thanks,
Do I need to catch up on the other two quizzes?
You can, if you like.
Okay. Will it affect my grade if I don't?
Well, the way I grade quizzes is at the end of the semester, I take all of your emails on the quizzes, and I put them on my flash drive, and I weigh it on a scale.
I'm sure it'll weigh a whole lot.
Thank you for laughing.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be funny, because basically I just eyeball it. I said, yes, this person has participated. No, this person hasn't.
Okay, got it.
That's, but the thing is, those questions are fun,
Yeah.
I think. So it's interesting to do this stuff.
Yeah, this
Not
is
just,
this is my first day in. It's already my favorite class. So.
No kidding.
Yeah, I love thinking outside of stuff and trying to understand the world.
Not everybody does.
I love thinking do trees have a soul? I was for 30 minutes of the class. I was in my mind does it have a soul? There's research saying that trees are connected by roots and nervous
They
systems.
communicate.
It's one